Now that we're pretty much officially past the 6-month mark of these new, amazing, and fantastic consoles, a lot of people are looking back to the promises that were made leading up to the launches and releases of these consoles, and did they actually keep up with what they said? Did they keep their word? You know, companies like politicians will tell you what you want to hear and then kind of screw you over at the last minute and not give you what was pretty much designed. And a good example of this is, look at what we were promised with the PlayStation 4. We were promised demos on every game. That never came to fruition, and as well as some of the promises were made on Xbox One, where, you know, they showcased, oh, hey, your game's ready for you now. Join into your game. You know, like that stuff never came to fruition. Making up for Street Fighter V being exclusive to PlayStation never made up to fruition. There's a lot of promises made, and not a lot of them got kept. But at the end of the day, you know, both Sony and Microsoft made some incredible promises about their technology and supposedly learned from their past. So even though the PlayStation 4 did extremely well in terms of sales at 116 million consoles sold, you know, realistically, and even though that console was more powerful than the Xbox One, you have to look at the fact that both the Xbox One and PS4 launch editions were significantly underpowered to what we are used to when we started a new generation. And so it makes a lot of sense that they would go a little bit overboard with the power the next generation to kind of make up for it. In fact, they were so underpowered that we needed mid-gen refreshes, and we got them. You know, Microsoft and Sony both realized that this was going to be a thing. Now, of course, they weren't bought by the majority. You know, most people are just fine playing their games on a base console, and I think that's great. The hardcore are the ones that are really going to adopt into that big, like, power boost kind of mentality. But what we're seeing now in terms of comparisons are pretty much the exact opposite of what a lot of people promised us, at least on the Xbox side, months and months and maybe even a year leading up to the launch of these consoles. And I'm going to get into it because this is some really fascinating stuff that we're seeing right now, and I want everybody to check it out. So what's up, everybody? Crapgamer here with Crapgamer Reviews with another video. Thank you so much for checking it out. I really do appreciate it. Please like, share, subscribe. I would appreciate that as well. It helps out the channel, and it means a lot to me personally. As we go on this journey to rebuild what was, you know, once there, you know, and I'm going to continue to do that and continue to do my best in terms of what we're available to kind of accomplish and things like that. So hopefully you guys understand that, and hopefully you guys are with me for that. I appreciate all the well wishes and things. I have been answering many of you in the comments and things like that, on, like, when you comment on Xbox Live or PSN, I respond to everybody there, or Twitter. You know, if you guys are looking for like a Twitter situation, I always like to respond there. It's hard to go into the comment section on YouTube. It's just not a very comfortable thing all the time, but you know, maybe I'll do that one day. You know, just set aside a time to go in there and just kind of answer some of the more interesting comments and things like that. I know there's always going to be some trolls and stuff, but you know, I do my best. You know, I'm doing what I can. So with that being said, when we compare the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5, we have, you know, they're kind of vastly different in a lot of ways, but also in some ways they're kind of the same as well. So you know, it's one of the things to sort of see as kind of gamers go along. We were promised that the Xbox Series X would, you know, completely destroy you know, the PlayStation 5 versions of games, and you know, we heard the PlayStation 5 couldn't do, you know, 4K 60 and all this kind of stuff. So you know, it's just one of those things that, you know, as fans, we kind of look back and we see where we're at now, and we see that, you know, things maybe haven't been closer than what they are right now in terms of performance and stuff like that. So I really did think that, you know, they probably had the best of intentions. You know, Microsoft and probably some of the fanboys, you know, you come off a generation where really the Xbox got hammered for the early part of the generation last gen, due to the fact that the Xbox One was underperforming. You know, it was doing some 720p titles, like weird resolution titles like 782 and 805, and you know, it's just these weird titles and stuff like that. And so at the start of this new generation, we saw that the PlayStation 5 was outperforming and a lot of times just on par with the Xbox Series X, despite the fact that the Series X was supposed to be that much more powerful and that much more of a kind of a machine that's going to really drive home what it can do. So when we see stuff like this, we maybe just kind of go, man, what's the deal with this? Is it that PS5 is really punching above its weight, or is Xbox Series X, still struggling? So I think that's something that we have to kind of look at when it comes to this. So what we saw was there's two games that recently were given a comparison: Scarlet Nexus on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, and they did the demo, which is released on both consoles, and now so we know what they're doing on both of these. So Scarlet Nexus demo is out now for PlayStation 5, and the demo was already available on Xbox Series X, and there's a comparison out for both platforms. Scarlet Nexus supports both the next generation consoles, and there doesn't appear to be any discernible difference between both platforms. They render at a native 4K at 60 frames per second and achieve their desired performance without any major issues. PS5 does have a slight edge with load times, which are faster on it. As for the Xbox Series S, it renders at 1440p resolution. The game only supports 30 frames per second on last-gen consoles instead of 60, as is the case with the current console at hand. So, again, this is a brand new game that's coming out, and there's the demo out and stuff like that. And one of the cool things about that is they did focus on the frame rate for the next generation, which I love. I think that's fantastic. But with that being said, in this, it's pretty fantastic that they were able to achieve 4K 60 on both the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. And not only are they doing that, but on the PlayStation 5, clearly any game that's built to utilize that solid state drive is going to actually absolutely kind of smash the competition in terms of loading, because it's just that much better. And that's not a fanboy thing. I mean, literally, the hardware is better. The Xbox Series X on paper is more powerful, but the PlayStation 5 solid state drive is just so much more than what the Xbox Series is. It's just that's just the facts. I mean, you can't beat facts, and that's one of the things that really kind of happens more often than not. So I think that's very interesting, to say the least. And at the end of the day, we're going to continue to see some great things from both platforms, and that's what I hope for at the end of the day. But that wasn't where it kind of ended. We also saw Outriders, the final code for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, were actually tested, and they were able to actually go in there and kind of check it out and see what was going on with this. And again, these were so close in what they were doing. You know what I mean? Brand new game. Both of them looked the same. Both of them pretty much the same game. And pretty much the same resolution and everything, and performance throughout the entire thing. So, both of them going up to around 1800p or something like that. So again, you just have a really good situation where this game was highly optimized on all the platforms. So you don't really have to look at anything and go, oh, well, there's this huge gulf or huge difference, or it's not like last gen. As much as a lot of Xbox fans, and I'm with you, I understand why, right? It took a beating. Everybody was 720p this and that, but the 720p versus 1080p thing kind of different, because we have these 1080p TVs, right? And 720p can look kind of washed out or blurry or whatever, or not as crisp, because it's not full HD. Now it's we're going above that full HD, and these things usually have some kind of temporal reconstruction and things like that. So you might talk a couple pixels here or there, but it's both already look so good. Most people don't care, and it doesn't really matter. So people are kind of over that whole thing, and I know that it seems convenient to be over the resolution stuff when Microsoft has somewhat of an advantage for the past few years, thanks to the One X and things like that. But it's just the truth of the matter. I know people really kind of want to look at it and go, oh, well, there's this huge gulf, and there's this, that, and the other thing. But at the end of the day, honestly, both consoles are performing very much on par. And I think you could look at that in two ways. You could look at it as that's a big win for Sony, because the PS5 is allegedly so much less than what Microsoft put into the Xbox Series X. Or you could look at it as the Xbox Series X is kind of letting people down by not having substantial wins in comparisons and stuff like that. But there you have two new games that are really going out there and taking advantage of the hardware, specifically really well crafted. And I think that's what we're going to see. You know, as we come out of the pandemic and stuff like that, we're going to see more and more of these games that are really taking advantage of the console's hardware and doing everything that they can to kind of showcase what they can do, which is what we all want. You know, we all deserve to get our consoles to kind of play the best of their ability. So let me know what you guys think. I'll link all of this in the description. Are you surprised that everything's performing pretty damn equal? Let me know. Rack 'em up. Crapgamer out.